Bleeding purple and gold. From the heart of Los Angeles, this is the LakersNation.com podcast with your host, Trevor Lane.
Hello, Lakers Nation. Welcome to the show. As always, we are powered by CLNS Media and LakersNation.com, your home for everything Lakers. Well, we've got a ton to talk about on the show today. Obviously, we need to talk all about Magic Johnson and everything that this means for the franchise. I've got a million things to dig into at this point. I wanted to wait a little bit, one day at least, to just sort of let this whole story kind of marinate a little bit and let everything come to life. I think there's still some more stuff we're going to hear because a lot about this doesn't make sense, but I wanted to let a little bit of time pass before I jumped on and actually recorded a full podcast so we could really dig into what we know and what has come out at this point. Before I dive into everything, quick shout out to our sponsors, Vivid Seats, the official ticket reseller of LakersNation.com. All you have to do is punch in the promo code LakersNation in all caps into the Vivid Seats app in your phone, and you will get 10% off tickets to your next event. And Uptime Energy Drinks. Uptime Energy, guys, you can find them at 7-Eleven, GNC, and Amazon.com. Uptime Energy is how energy should feel. And if I'm being honest, Uptime Energy is how I am still going right now. It has been a crazy last 24 hours or so, and definitely relied on Uptime Energy to get through. It's been a long, crazy season. And you know what? Let me throw this in here. When I tell people what I do for Lakers Nation and what my job is, people always remark, "Oh my gosh, you must be so busy during the season." And yes, that's true. I mean, look, I've seen every single game, either in person or I've watched it, and we've been doing post-game shows, we've been doing podcasts, been writing editorials, all these things, right? That definitely keeps me busy. But our busy time at Lakers Nation is really just picking up, because once we get to the pre-draft stuff, when we get to that, when we get into the NBA draft itself in June, when we get to free agency, that's when things really ramp up. So it's really just beginning. As busy as the season has been, we do get a little bit of a breather in August and part of September. But yeah, look, this is just because the Lakers are done playing basketball doesn't mean the Lakers are done being a news topic. There is going to be a ton of things to talk about, especially now with this Magic Johnson thing going on. So here's the plan for today. No guest, just me and you, and we're going to get through this thing. We are going to sort through everything that's going on with this whole Magic Johnson situation. We are going to try to make sense of it. So that's my plan here. I have so many things to say, to talk about on here. I couldn't do it going back and forth with a guest. We would literally be here for 2 hours plus if that was what I was doing, because I have so many things that I need to get to. So it's just me, and what we're going to do, I'm going to break this up into 3 segments. I want to get into the context. I want to get into the background. Okay, what Magic Johnson's role was, what he was supposed to be doing, how the whole thing came about, that he's leaving, all of that. Okay, because I think it's really important that we understand that. I think the knee-jerk reaction when this whole thing went down was, oh my gosh, Magic's leaving, and then we instantly look ahead. We think, okay, what does this mean for Luke Walton in the future? What does this mean for Rob Pelinka? What does this mean for free agency, for the draft, all these things? And that's natural, right? But if we do that and we don't take a moment to reflect on where we've been and where we've come from, that can make the decision-making process a little bit more confusing when we're looking at what the Lakers do. It informs our understanding of what they're doing when we have a better feel for what they've already done, for what they've shown, what their SOP is, their standing operating procedure, what they have done in the past. I've said this on the show before. One of my favorite lines and one of my favorite bands is Rise Against. They have a song called Satellite. One of my favorite lines from it of all time. Maybe I need to get a tattoo of it. You can't understand what lays ahead if you don't understand the past. You can't know where you're going unless you know where you've been. It's another way of saying it. I want to dive in to the context. Okay, look at this. Look at the background info and figure out what's going on there. So that's how I want to start things off. Then I want to look at why this is happening and why is it happening right now. Okay, that'll be part 2. We're going to look at why is this happening? Why is it happening right now? That'll be our second segment. And then I want to get into, for the third segment, I want to get into what it means moving forward. Okay, what it means moving forward for the Lakers. That's when we'll talk draft, we'll talk free agency, we'll talk all that stuff, we'll talk Luke Walton, all those things. Okay, that's the plan moving forward. That's how I am approaching this. That's how I'm going to tackle it. So let's do it. Let's dive right in here. So Magic Johnson unexpectedly resigns, but right before the Lakers take on the Portland Trailblazers, he gets in front of the media and he says, "I quit." Okay. It was shocking, to say the least, and we're going to get into why. But think back to why Magic was brought in. Magic was brought in to save the Lakers. Jim Buss and Mitch Kupchak had given out some terrible contracts after years, literally years, of trying to get anyone to take the Lakers' money. LaMarcus Aldridge, they notoriously botched the free agent pitch with LaMarcus Aldridge so badly that they had to go back and ask for a redo so they could talk to him again. And hey, give us a chance again to sell you on Los Angeles. And he was gracious enough to actually do it. They didn't get Carmelo Anthony. Couldn't even get Kevin Durant to meet with them. They had all this money, all this cap space available, and no one would take it. No one would take their money, and pretty clear something was wrong. Then they go and spend the money that they do have on Luol Deng and Timofey Mozgov. They finally just give in and they say, okay, fine. If nobody's going to take our money, let's at least get a couple of veteran players that we think can maybe help tack on a couple of wins this season. But man, did they mess up. They added on these big, huge salaries that were going to hamstring the team moving forward. Terrible stuff. So Magic steps into that situation. He eventually becomes, within just a few weeks of coming on board as an advisor at first, he eventually becomes the president of basketball operations. Jeannie Buss brings him on because, hey, he's Magic Johnson. He's the guy that she trusts. And we're going to talk a little bit about trust in a little bit here. But Magic is the guy that she trusts to run the organization moving forward. And why shouldn't she? Magic is the guy who really ushered in the Showtime era for the Lakers. He's the Laker, right? You can say Kobe Bryant is the greatest Laker ever, but I don't know if he's the most beloved. Look, the cult of Kobe is a real thing, but he's also insanely polarizing. People either love Kobe or they hate him, right? Magic Johnson is pretty much universally loved because he is perhaps the most charismatic individual ever. He lights up a room. He has this commanding presence. People just like him. He has a way about him. And so Magic Johnson, you can say he is the Laker. So he's the guy that you're turning to. He's the guy that you're asking to fix things, knowing that his traits, his ability to relate to people is going to be a major feather in your cap when you go into free agent meetings. He's going to help sell Lakers basketball, and that absolutely matters. So Magic comes on board. He starts immediately making moves, and he admitted before he came on, I need to learn the salary cap. He doesn't understand exactly how the salary cap works, how the CBA works, all of these sorts of things. He needs training wheels. He needs someone who can kind of show him the ropes. Enter Rob Pelinka, who's never been a general manager before, but he was Kobe's agent. Again, someone Jeannie Buss has a relationship with. So she turns to Rob Pelinka, brings him on board to sort of be that guy. Be the guy who understands the salary cap, understands how the league works behind the scenes and all of that. All well and good, but again, he hasn't done the job of a GM before. So now you have two guys in Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka who don't have any experience in their jobs. None. And so they're going to have to try to dig the Lakers out of the mess. And lo and behold, it kind of works. It does. Like, look, you can complain about some of the moves. D'Angelo Russell, yes, it hurts seeing him become an all-star somewhere else. You could say, look, maybe that move was a mistake. Ivica Zubac, man, that one hit me hard. That one hit me because everybody saw how bad it was. Everybody saw the Lakers get fleeced by the Clippers. There was no question trading Ivica Zubac for Mike Muscala was a mistake. A low-level mistake, sure. I mean, it's not a make or break type thing, but still, it was a mistake. Letting Julius Randle go. All of these things just scream inexperience. And yet, they landed LeBron James. Magic Johnson is able to land LeBron James last summer, and this is why he was brought in, right? Magic was brought in not necessarily to be the guy that's going to run the day-to-day, right? Because he doesn't have that. That's not what he's good at. What he's good at selling Lakers basketball. And you can argue that aside from maybe Jerry West, there is no one, and I mean no one on this planet that can sell Lakers basketball the way Magic Johnson can. He is the guy that you want sitting down with free agents and selling them on joining the Los Angeles Lakers, period. End of story. He's the guy that you want. So with that being the case, Magic's able to bring in LeBron. Yeah, sure. Hey, some of you out there will argue LeBron was going to come to the Lakers anyway. He just wanted Hollywood. His family likes living in Southern California. Yes, all those things matter, right? They do. But bottom line, Magic is able to land LeBron James. He's part of the way towards his goal. He wants to turn the Lakers into a championship contender, and he just got really the hard part, getting that first star in the door. And here we are. Magic resigns when he's part of the way towards the goal of actually bringing the Lakers back to being a championship contender. He's just months away from getting another crack at bringing in a star, a Kawhi Leonard, right? Maybe a Kevin Durant, somebody like that. These guys are going to be available, even Kyrie Irving, Jimmy Butler. There's going to be talented players out there this summer, and Magic opts to resign. And maybe even more puzzling than him resigning is the things that he said and the way he went about it. So he reveals that he did not tell Jeanie, didn't tell Jeanie Buss, didn't tell anyone. The Lakers have been a leaky organization this year. We heard all about the Anthony Davis trade rumors, and look, hey, some of it's coming from the Pelican side, but a lot of what was being reported, if you're good at reading between the lines, some of it was coming from the Lakers side too. There's no question there. So the Lakers have been a pretty leaky organization. Magic told no one, and that's why no one had any idea that he was planning on quitting. So it caught the press off guard, it caught the Lakers off guard, it caught Jeanie Buss off guard, and here's the problem, okay? I've been saying this all day, all the interviews that I've done. Magic Johnson, on one hand, if he's unhappy, if he doesn't like what he's doing, he doesn't like his job, money's not an issue for him. He's an extremely successful businessman. The money does not matter that much to him. If he's unhappy and he'd rather go back to his old role, that's totally fine. He's got that right. He can do that. Just like if I suddenly decided I didn't like working with Lakers Nation anymore, I could go and do something else. All of you listening out there, if you have a job and you dislike it, go find something else. Life's too short to spend it doing stuff that doesn't make you happy. And if Magic was doing something that didn't make him happy, then hey, more power to him for making a change and going and finding something that will make him happy. I hope that he is. Because look, Magic is, and I'll preface this here, Magic is, as I said, the Laker. He's a guy I grew up watching. The Showtime Lakers are the earliest memory I have. So of watching them play with my dad. That's the earliest memory I've got. So Magic's always going to hold a special meaning to me, and the same to a lot of Lakers fans, right? That's going to matter. Magic is going to be that person forever, right? That doesn't change this. This doesn't change his standing as far as that's concerned. Hopefully he is happy. Hopefully he finds something that is better. He makes his life better by doing this, but he can't come out and say, I love Jeanie like a sister, and stab her in the back like this. And again, I love Magic, right? But he can't come out here and do that. You can't hit the organization the way he did. You don't surprise them this way. You give them a chance to roll with the punch. You give them a chance to get ahead of the story. You give them that opportunity to at least put the wheels in motion, so it doesn't look bad. Because what happens when he just comes out in front of the press and he just blurts out, hey, I'm quitting, and then he talks for 45 minutes about all sorts of things? It looks like chaos. And that's what it causes, is chaos. That's not what you want the franchise to show. It's not. And poor Jeanie in this situation, right? She brought Magic in to be the guy that's going to lead the team moving forward, to be the guy that she can trust. And here he is blindsiding her by quitting right before the team takes the floor for their final game of what has been a brutal season, where everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. We're talking bad trades. We're talking poor roster construction, injuries like crazy, rotations that have been bonkers in some cases. This has been a roller coaster of a season with a lot more lows than highs, right? So to do this now and to hit the Lakers front office like this, I'm not sure if Magic didn't consider it, if he didn't understand what the impact was going to be, but it made the entire organization look bad at a time when the organization cannot afford to look bad. Look, if this happened in November, by the time free agency comes around, this story will be starting to be forgotten. The team would have time to sort of right itself. They could bring in somebody else. They could take their time finding somebody. They'd be in good shape. They would have been fine. Happening now, right now, heading into this huge summer of free agency, it's a bad look. It's a bad look, and it's something that is a especially bad look because it stole the spotlight from Dwayne Wade and Dirk Nowitzki, two of the best to ever play. He stole their spotlight on their big night, on their final home games. He took their spotlight away, and I'm sure he wasn't thinking about that. This wasn't his intention to do that, but that was what happened. Because look, Magic Johnson, Lakers, LeBron James, throw those things together, you're going to get the majority of the coverage, and that's what happened. Okay, so all in all, the timing, the way he went about it is not good. Now, let's talk about why it's happening right now. Why did he decide to do this? And he offered some clues. Okay, the one that everybody's going to gravitate towards is Magic talked about how he knew he was going to have to affect someone's livelihood. He very strongly, in fact, not even strongly hinted, he pretty much said it, that he was going to fire Luke Walton. Okay, he's going to fire Luke Walton either after the game or the next morning, and he ultimately decided he didn't want to do that. Now, why? Why would he not want to do that? Look, you've got a Lakers team, and don't get me wrong, I think Luke deserves another shot. I've said this on the show many, many times. I have no problem with Luke Walton sticking around. I think he got a raw deal this season. I think injuries destroyed the team. Sure, he wasn't perfect, but I think a lot of what happened was not his fault. All right? But you've got a Lakers team that has LeBron James and did not make the playoffs. That does not happen. Getting rid of the coach and moving on to someone else is very justifiable under those circumstances. So why would that be something that would hold him back? Look, Luke's a nice guy, but Magic Johnson is a businessman. Magic Johnson has made tough decisions before. It's not like the fact that he likes Luke which should prevent him from being able to do that. It's not like he said, look, I can't do it. Luke's too good of a guy. I can't go through with firing him, so I quit. No, there's more to this. There's more to this, and this is a strange thing that's been happening here. Stephen A. Smith from ESPN said the Magic met with Jeannie Buss on Monday, and that the Lakers pushed back against this idea, but that he's been hearing that Magic didn't just want to get rid of Luke. He did want to get rid of Luke, and Jeannie gave him the okay. Magic said Jeannie gave him the okay, gave him her blessing, even though Luke is a Jeannie guy. Jeannie likes having Luke Walton there, and I can see why. Luke Walton has his positive qualities. Luke Walton was the guy that they thought was going to be their coach for the next decade. They weren't going to have to worry about a head coach, about bringing in somebody else after they went through so many different coaches in such a short time period. They thought Luke was the guy that could lead them for a while, that he could stick around long term. So Jeannie's got this connection with Luke. She wants to make sure that he sticks around. Understandable, right? But that Magic also wanted to get rid of Rob Pelinka. Magic wanted to get rid of both Luke and Rob, and when Magic was talking to the press, he was given the opportunity to vouch for Rob Pelinka. And he was asked, what do you think? Is Rob Pelinka the guy who should be the GM moving forward? And Magic deflected and said that it would be up to Jeannie to decide that. What he didn't say speaks volumes because, look, all he had to say was something to the effect of, Rob is an extremely intelligent guy, has done great with his job, and I think he'd be a wonderful GM moving forward, but the decision will ultimately rest in Jeannie's hands. Right? At least he's then personally vouching for him. He didn't do that. And I think that says a lot. I really do. Now, Rob Pelinka, we've been hearing, has developed a reputation around the league that has not been good. He already had kind of a negative reputation because of the things he did while he was an agent. Look, agents, they work in a cutthroat business. They do. So Rob Pelinka made plenty of enemies before he came in and became the Lakers GM. And then he's trying to learn on the fly. And then you have the Lakers sort of bragging to the league about how they get LeBron and how they're so confident that, hey, the Lakers are the team nobody wants to play in the playoffs and all this sort of stuff. That rubs teams the wrong way. Teams aren't going to be super thrilled with Rob or anybody in the Lakers really in that situation. But Jeannie may have put her foot down there. Then this thing starts to make a little more sense. If Jeannie told Magic, look, no, we're not getting rid of Rob and Luke, that's not happening, and then Magic feels like he doesn't have the authority to really work the way he wants to, maybe that pushes him towards walking away. Especially knowing that if he does what he wants to do and what he has the power to do and gets rid of both of those guys, knowing how that's going to impact his relationship with Jeannie, that's going to put them at odds. If she's telling him, no, I'd rather see you keep these guys. And Magic doesn't want that. Magic basically grew up with Jeannie. So that, I think, is a factor here. If Jeannie did indeed say that. Now, again, the Lakers have pushed back on this. Said this wasn't the case. Magic wasn't trying to get rid of Rob, anything like that. But still, I think that it would explain some of the reason why Magic would do this. Because he had to feel like, to some degree, like he was coming between Luke and Jeannie, but then saying, hey, look, Jeannie gave him the power to get rid of Luke, gave him her blessing to do that. There's got to be something more to it, and that something more could very well be Rob Pelinka. Maybe Jeannie didn't want Luke and Rob gone, and then that's where Magic kind of drew the line. Now, that's not the only thing that would have caused Magic to do that. Look, Magic himself, he talks about how he can't really be himself. He's the kind of guy that likes to speak just off the cuff. He likes to just go. He just rolls with things, and he says what he says, and he smiles, and he's Magic Johnson, and everybody loves it. It's really hard to do that when you are the face of a franchise, right? When you're the guy that's leading the front office, and every single word that you speak is going to be dissected. Because you're speaking not just for yourself, but you're speaking for the franchise as well. The Lakers already got hit with 2 tampering fines. Now, not one of them was on Rob Pelinka, but Magic said that Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to win a championship for the Bucks. Right? He compliments how good Antetokounmpo is. It doesn't make any mention of him coming to the Lakers or chasing after him or pursuing or anything. Boom, tampering fine. Right? Magic felt handcuffed, and he talks about this. That he felt like he couldn't be himself. He wants to be that ambassador with the NBA. He wants to be able to talk to young players. And he couldn't do that in this role. And that's got to be frustrating for him. Because you're taking away part of what makes Magic Magic. You're not allowing him to speak freely because he's got to be super careful with every single thing that he says. Especially knowing that after the tampering thing, everybody is going to be really watching what the Lakers say and do like a hawk. That's an uncomfortable situation for Magic. So I have no doubt that was not fun for him. So that also goes to explain why he would walk away from this franchise that he loves. I don't doubt that he loves the Lakers. He's crying when he's resigning to the media. This team, this organization, it means something to him. It's something that matters very, very much to him, and it pained him to walk away. Now, that doesn't mean he's blameless in any of this. He's not. Like I said, the timing was terrible. The way you went about it was awful. Couldn't be much worse. But Magic, he felt like he needed to change things so he could go back to being himself. Okay? Fine. Fair enough. I also wonder, though, looking at this summer, like I said earlier, Magic Johnson has an opportunity this summer to finish his mission, finish his goal. He came in knowing that, look, if anybody's going to close superstar free agents, it's going to be him. He's going to be the guy that's going to bring in the Kawhi Leonards, the Kevin Durants, players like that. And he already got LeBron. Why not complete the journey? even if you're that worried about, I need to keep Luke, or I need to keep Rob, you've got a little conflict there, all that kind of stuff, right? That can at least be cleared up. Or even if it temporarily causes some friction with Jeannie, the culmination of this is in sight. In July, he would have the opportunity to sit down with some of the best. And let's face it, if you're Kevin Durant, if you're Kawhi Leonard, even if you're leaning elsewhere, which is what we've been hearing that the top guys have the Lakers as their second or third option, not their number one option. And that doesn't bode well for them. But even if you don't have the Lakers as your top option, you're going to take a call from Magic Johnson because he's Magic Johnson. You're going to sit down with him because that's what you do when Magic Johnson calls you. You go, you sit down, and you take that meeting. Okay, maybe not if your name's Paul George. But otherwise, yeah, you take that meeting with Magic Johnson. You sit down, and you hear what he has to say. Because he's got that kind of respect around the league. So, if you're Magic, and you're not waiting for that opportunity, maybe he's hearing things. It's not beyond the realm of possibility that he's heard that none of these guys are coming. That it's not happening. Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, Kawhi Leonard, all these other top guys, they're going to go elsewhere, and he knew what was coming, and so that may have played a role. Okay, now that part is me completely speculating. I'm just saying, if you're Magic Johnson and you've been brought in to sign major free agents, and now you're hearing that none of them are coming, maybe that's not a bad time to bail. Perhaps that played a factor as well. But look, Magic Johnson, bottom line, he had a few reasons why. It did appear that Luke Walton was going to be gone. Maybe Rob Pelinka was going to be gone as well. And now everything's changing. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about what this means for the franchise moving forward. Magic is gone. The guy you brought in to lead things moving forward is gone for a variety of reasons. One that I didn't mention is the time commitment. Okay, he wasn't able to be there all the time. And I should mention this, I guess. Magic wasn't able to be there all the time. He gets pulled in a million different directions. You can't do that in this job. As the president of basketball operations, you have to be there. Why do you have to be there all the time? Look, you've got a rookie GM in Rob Pelinka, a smart guy, but he hasn't done it before. He needs help. Okay, and let's mention this. There's some irony here. Because look, Magic and Rob, one of their complaints reportedly about Luke Walton was that he wasn't bringing in experienced assistants. He wasn't bringing in guys who have done it before, who could help show him the way. Luke is still very much a young coach, and they were frustrated with that. When Magic and Rob are very new at their jobs, and they didn't bring in anybody to help show them the way, to kind of lead the way through for them. And man, they could have used it. I said this a few weeks ago when we talked about Lakers miscues in the offseason. They needed someone to come in who they could just run things by. A Jerry West type figure. Okay, it doesn't have to be Jerry West, but someone like that they could just say, hey, we've got this guy Julius Randle. We're thinking about maybe just cutting him free, and we're going to sign Rajon Rondo instead. What do you think about that? They needed that. They needed somebody that would listen to that and go, no, you definitely shouldn't do that, because they are so new at the job that somehow they talked themselves into that being a good idea. So, yes, irony there that they complained about Luke not having those guys on his coaching staff, not having those experienced coaches there to help show him the way. They didn't have that. Okay, Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka didn't. So that's certainly a factor here too. Magic wasn't able to commit the full time to the job that he needed to. He didn't have the help that he needed. He was kind of relying on Rob to run all the day-to-day stuff. He needed another voice, at least another voice. Look, you put enough smart people in a room together, good things are going to happen. And that's something I think the Lakers need to consider moving forward. Okay, but Magic couldn't commit the full time, right? Look, if it was around the league, not being there all the time, not being fully committed to the role, if that was just the way things are, okay. But it's not. Look, we always talk about matchups, right? We talk about, okay, the Lakers have, say, Brandon Ingram he's going to be playing the 2, and he's got to try to guard James Harden tonight. Well, what are the pros and cons of that? Well, James Harden's going to do these things. James Harden's a better scorer. James Harden's better at passing and setting people up. And Brandon Ingram's got the wingspan, though. Can he defend him? Right? We break things down. Break down the Lakers front office matchup and think about that for a second. Think about who Magic Johnson is matched up against. It's not pretty, is it? It's not. Think about it. Even just look at Houston. Right? Look at the guy who is arguably the best GM in the league, Daryl Morey. Magic Johnson versus Daryl Morey as a person in charge of the basketball operation side of things, as a decision maker. That is a huge mismatch when you have a Magic Johnson who can't be there all the time. So not only do you have Daryl Morey, who's brilliant, who's been doing it for a long time, who has tons of advantages there, but you also have a Daryl Morey who's outworking Magic Johnson because he has that ability in him. He's there all the time. He's not getting pulled in a million different directions. That's not going to end well for the Lakers. And so that was a problem as well, and I think Magic probably sensed that. So let's get into what this means moving forward. Okay, Luke Walton, does he stay around? We've talked all about this. We've talked about how likely it was the Lakers would be getting rid of Luke Walton. Luke and the coaching staff believed heading into the night that they were done. They were going to be gone very quickly. Okay, it wasn't going to take long. Now, I have to imagine that probably changes. Okay, Jeannie Buss is a big supporter of Luke. Jeannie Buss it would probably not look good if they just fired Luke right now in this moment, because we don't know who is going to be the next person in charge, who's going to be steering the ship from here on out. And because of that, that gives Luke a little bit of life. A guy who was dead man walking. I mean, he was done. Magic was ready to get rid of him, ready to cut him loose. Now Magic's gone, and Luke's position, it's not solid. It's not like he's just suddenly safe and untouchable. That is not the case at all. Because remember, Jeannie gave Magic permission to fire Luke. So it would stand to reason that whoever comes in will probably also have the authority to get rid of Luke, and people who come in new to a place, new to a job. And I'm not even just talking about the NBA. People who come in new to a job tend to look for a way to make their mark, for something to point at and say, look, that's what I did. Before me, you didn't have that. And now you do. Look at the good job I'm doing, right? They have to make their mark. Same thing's true in the NBA. That's why when a new regime comes in, they tend to want to put their own people in place. They want to have their own coach come in, their own assistant coach, their own general manager. So most likely, whoever becomes the person at the wheel for the Lakers basketball operations side of things will probably have the authority to get rid of Luke if they want. And you could say maybe it's even likely that they get rid of him. But again, that doesn't mean it's definitely going to happen, and it definitely was going to happen if Magic stuck around. So if anything, Luke Walton's chance of sticking around just got better. Now, what about Rob Pelinka? Rob, if Magic really was trying to get rid of him, and obviously he didn't give him a very ringing endorsement when he had the opportunity to, Magic Johnson, if he was going to get rid of Rob, he would have reason to. I mean, look, the moves that the Lakers have made have not been good. Okay, you look at what they've done outside of bringing in LeBron James, and you could say JaVale McGee is a good contract on a veteran minimum. Hard to be a bad contract, really, on a vet minimum deal. But look at everything else. Look at letting Brook Lopez go so that they could use Michael Beasley was their plan to be their backup center at first, and then they eventually tried throwing Kuzma in there. They were going to try to replace that because they thought Beasley could do some Julius Randle-esque things. That's absolute madness. And that's what was being reported. That's insanity. So if that was Rob Pelinka that was on board with going that route, that's hard to defend. That's really hard to defend. Okay, letting Randle go, just saying, hey, you're a restricted free agent. No big deal. We don't even want to keep you around. We're gonna release you completely rather than give up this huge advantage that we have in negotiating, and give up the fact that if you do sign a new deal, we're probably going to get you on a super team friendly and super tradable contract. No, that's okay. You just go ahead and go sign a super team friendly deal with the Pelicans. They can have you. Not a good look at all. Aside from landing LeBron, tons of mistakes. So getting rid of Rob Pelinka certainly is justified, but now we're hearing that for the moment at least, and this is from Ramona Shelburne of ESPN, Rob Pelinka is not only not going anywhere, he's going to stay in his role as general manager, but he may even absorb some of the power. Because look, now Magic's gone. There's a vacuum. There's this void that needs to be filled. Somebody needs to be steering the ship, and it appears that it is going to be Rob Pelinka, the guy who doesn't have a whole lot of experience doing that, the guy who doesn't have the charisma that Magic Johnson does. Sure, look, we all love the press conferences where he uses parables to try to make his point, and it's a little weird, it's a little surreal, but at least it's entertaining, right? That's Rob Pelinka. No doubt he's a smart guy. No doubt he's great with contracts. He was Kobe Bryant's agent forever. If you can have Kobe Bryant's respect, that says something, right? I don't want to speak too ill of Rob Pelinka, but he doesn't have the kind of experience that the team needs. He just doesn't. Okay, free agency is coming up. The draft is coming up. The Lakers have to fix this, and they have to fix it quick. Because free agents, one of the things that they hate is instability. They don't want to go someplace where they don't know who's going to be in charge. Right? That's a big, big negative. You need somebody in place soon who can make that decision as the draft comes up. Middle of May, we've got about a month until the Lakers are going to know where their draft pick falls. Most likely it's going to sit right around 11. But if they jump up or whatever, we're going to find out where their pick falls in the lottery. And then they got to start preparing for the draft. So they have a very, very limited window, especially because you'd have to imagine, given the situation the Lakers are in right now, it's not just what should we do with this pick as far as who should we select? Which college players should we select with this pick? It's also going to be about shopping the pick and finding out what kind of value they can get for them. You need an experienced person with their hands on the wheel for those kind of discussions. And then you need somebody who inspires confidence. You need somebody who can come in, who's done it before, who can get free agents to sit down with them and can make them feel warm and fuzzy about the future of the team, who can say, look, we have a plan moving forward. The plan is this, this, and this. The plan can't be, hey, we're going to scramble, Magic's gone, we'll find somebody eventually, but hey, come join. Doesn't that sound great? Doesn't that sound like a lot of fun? No, that's not going to fly at all. So the Lakers have to work quickly here. Rob Pelinka is not the guy. He's not. He's not the guy that is going to inspire that kind of confidence in free agents. And again, look, Rob has his pluses and minuses, but you need that person that is going to be the draw. And just promoting Rob, which is what we're kind of hearing is happening for now. Look, fortunately, Ramona Shelburne did mention that that's what's happening now. But as the Lakers kind of digest things, they need somebody steering right now. And that's Rob. But as they kind of go through the decision-making process, they could bring in someone else who then could either bump Rob down to just being the GM and nothing else, or it could potentially get rid of him completely. You never know. But that brings me to my next point. Okay, whatever the Lakers do, and I think that simply promoting Rob Pelinka, allowing him to slide up a role and become the president of basketball operations, I don't think that's the answer. I think that this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity for the Lakers to turn things around, to change their way of thinking. And when I say the Lakers, I mostly mean Jeannie Buss. You know, her first reaction was to huddle with her brain trust. She went and huddled up with Rob Pelinka, huddled up with Linda Rambis, who helps make a lot of decisions on things because she's friends with Jeannie and all of that. It's time to break away from the Lakers family tree. The Lakers are a multi-billion-dollar company, right? They are the most popular basketball franchise on earth. They are the second most valuable franchise according to Forbes, second only to the New York Knicks. They are extremely valuable. They print money, and yet they are run like a family business. And by that, I mean that they look to people that they know. They kick the job to somebody who has worn their colors before. Byron Scott, right, is the coach. And then when he leaves, when he gets let go, they bring in Luke Walton, another guy who knows what it means to be a Laker. Look, yes, it matters. It does matter that somebody understands what it means to play in Los Angeles and the pressures of the LA crowd and all those sorts of things and the history behind the franchise and everything. But you look at what the Lakers have done, and they narrow their search so much when they only look at people who are already well known within the organization. And look, with Jeannie, it's a trust thing, right? She wants somebody in there that she trusts and that she believes in. But look at how this ended with Magic, and she trusted Magic. It's time to move beyond Lakers alumni and bring in somebody outside. It's time to cast a wide net. And that means not Rob Pelinka. That means not Rob. You have to find somebody who isn't necessarily associated with the Lakers, because look, the thing that can happen is when you're with the Lakers for so long and you start to get involved in their decision-making process and you start to just sort of fall in line and you start to believe the hype, you start to believe, hey, we're going to land free agents because we have money and because we're the Lakers. It doesn't fly anymore. It doesn't work. And the reason why it doesn't work is because other franchises are catching up. You've got the Daryl Moreys out there. Okay, you've got Sean Marks. Okay, you've got all these different brilliant minds. You've got R.C. Buford in San Antonio. All these minds that are finding ways to land talent by being better organizationally than the Lakers. It's time for a hard look in the mirror. And look, Magic leaving, it's a bad look right now. But if they can pivot off of this and bring in somebody who can change their way of thinking, who can find something beyond just, hey, it's the Lakers, or hey, come play with LeBron, who can have a legitimate plan moving forward, who can have a path towards contention, that could wind up being a net positive for the team. Losing Magic hurts, but if you make the right decision now, this is an opportunity. Right? It's chaotic, it's turmoil right now, but the opportunity is there to turn things around if the right decisions are made. And looking at what Jeannie's done in the past, because now the spotlight's on her, Magic's gone, spotlight's on her now, that shouldn't give you a ton of confidence. Because again, her gut reaction is to circle the wagons, bring in the people that you know, and roll with them. And look, loyalty is admirable, certainly. But in this scenario, the Lakers need the best. I don't particularly care if the best has a history with the Lakers. If they do, wonderful. That's great. Okay, that's the icing on the cake, but that can't be the whole cake. That can't be the reason why you bring someone in. It can't be, hey, we're going to pass up on some really good candidates because this person's got a background already with the Lakers and we kind of know them already. No, you need the best of the best, period. And that may mean trying to poach someone from another team. And that's okay because you're the Lakers. You've got the most popular basketball franchise on earth. You've got the advantages of being in Los Angeles. People will want this job. Not everybody. Some will look at the chaos and they'll think, no, I don't want any part of that. And that's fine. But there are a lot of people that are going to want this job. They're going to have plenty of people to choose from. They don't need to settle for anybody. Cast a wide net. Get the very best that you possibly can. Just promoting Rob is not that. It's not. And this is the danger zone right now for the Lakers. If Jeannie sticks with what they've done in the past, that's going to perpetuate the problem. Okay? It's going to be making the same mistakes all over again. And look, hey, if it happens and Rob suddenly ascends to power, then I hope that Rob figures it out. I hope that Rob fixes everything and Rob Pelinka was never the problem and it was all magic and everything's going to work out just fine and he's going to pull up some amazingly shrewd moves and lead the Lakers back to a championship, because that's what I want to see. I want to see the Lakers back on top. I want to see the team making the playoffs consistently. I want to see something set up where we can say, okay, this team is ready to win for the next decade because they've made shrewd moves, they brought in the right pieces, and everything's done well. If Rob winds up doing that, great. But right now, it doesn't seem like that's the way this is going. And it doesn't seem like Rob has that in him. Okay, and maybe that's to be expected because he doesn't have that experience, but fine, then you need to bring in somebody who is. And I've heard the name Jerry West thrown around a lot. Jerry West is going to be 81 next month. He's going to be 81. he can't be the president of basketball operations. Look, if you can bring him in as a consultant, if you can bring him in to be in those meetings and pitch free agents, do it. 100% you do that. Okay, but he can't be the guy steering the ship. Right? That's not fair to him to ask him to do that, and I don't think he would do that. So you need to find someone experienced. You need to find someone well-respected. You need to find someone who probably doesn't have a connection to the Lakers, because right now they've got the stink of failure on them. You've got this terrible season. You've got the questionable moves that they've made. You've got Magic suddenly leaving. It looks chaotic. You need somebody who's going to come in and say, look, I'm fixing everything. Okay, I'm bringing stability back to the team, because that's what free agents are going to want to see. And maybe it's a impossible task at this point to truly make the team look like a stable franchise in just a few months. That's going to be tough to do. Okay, no question about it. But still, you've got to try. You've got to go set up the future by bringing in the person that you know can get the job done. Okay, Magic Johnson couldn't devote the time that he needed to. He didn't have the experience that you need someone to in order to really make this happen. And look, credit to him. They got LeBron. That's incredibly difficult. Okay, but all eyes are on Jeanie Buss now. And if they can make the correct decision here, if they can find the next person to really run it and take it to the next level, then this could turn around quickly. If not, if we stick with this whole promote from within thing, once part of the Lakers family, always part of the Lakers family, that sort of mentality, like we're just going to stick with our people, then we're going to see the same mistakes over and over again. And I genuinely worry about what the summer is going to turn out like if that takes place. I think you need someone with vision. You need someone who can come in and really guide this team moving forward. So everything's up in the air right now as far as the future goes. We'll see what the team says. Certainly would have liked to have heard something from some authority figure, Rob Pelinka maybe, Jeanie Buss maybe. Look, Jeanie, this is her chance. This is her opportunity. She brought in Magic to take the spotlight away from her, and that's fine. She's admitted that she is not a basketball mind. And, credit to her for understanding her own strengths and weaknesses. That's not always easy for a person to do. She fully understands that making those basketball decisions is not her thing. So she empowers other people to do it. Again, all credit to her for that. But right now, this team needs that strong leader to step forward. And man, I wish they would have done it at the exit interviews. Maybe not even take questions, not get into all the gritty details, but just come out and make a strong statement about what the plan is moving forward, about how they're going to be diligent, about how they're going to conduct an exhaustive search, all these things that they're going to do in order to make sure they get back on track. I think that certainly was needed. And I'm hoping that Jeanie can step up and provide that kind of guidance for the franchise as they search for whoever is going to replace Magic Johnson. Right? Okay. I think I've covered a ton here. Covered every angle that I can regarding this whole situation. A lot going on. And you know what? As Lakers fans, which I'm assuming most of you listening are, it's been tough. It's been a tough season. It certainly hasn't been the we're back season that we were expecting. Okay? Injuries, the roster construction, everything that can go wrong seemingly has gone wrong. But this team is not in a terrible situation. Look at what they can offer somebody coming in. You've got LeBron James on your team. You've got some talented young players, and you have cap room. That's a pretty attractive situation in spite of all of the chaos. So there's going to be an opportunity here for them to turn things around quickly. It's there. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that are skeptical that they can do it, skeptical that they're going to make the right choices this summer because of what I was saying, because of the choices they've made in the past. And that's fully understandable, and that's fair. But again, if they can make some good choices this summer, and if they can bring in somebody to really steer the ship, and I mean you go after the very best of the best, if you've got to call up Daryl Morey, you do it. Okay, if you've got to call up anybody else around the league that you think can run this organization, you do that. You do whatever it takes, and you bring somebody in. Again, this team could have a completely new outlook and could wind up better for it, even though it's chaotic right now. They could actually wind up in better shape for having lost Magic Johnson at their helm and bringing in somebody more experienced. That really could happen. All right, guys. Appreciate all of you for sticking around here and listening to this as we broke this all down and tried to go through all these different steps here. Do me a favor, rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast on iTunes. Would really appreciate it. I haven't been pushing that enough lately. It helps the show out, helps us out, helps me out. So if you could, please head over on iTunes, rate, review, subscribe. We would certainly appreciate a 5-star rating if you can go on there and do that. Again, would really appreciate it. Make sure you head over to LakersNation.com, your home for the latest breaking Lakers news. That's where you're going to find all the latest info on the Lakers and this situation, everything else going on with the team. And, of course, check us out on social media. You can follow us at Lakers Nation on Facebook and Twitter, at Lakers Nation Official on Instagram. And make sure you check out the Lakers Nation YouTube channel, which is growing like crazy. My name's Trevor Lane. You can follow me on Twitter at Trevor_Lane and on Instagram at Trevor Lane NBA. Till next time, everybody. See ya.